Hi, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of The Don Lemon Show. Isaac Hayes III, a renowned record producer. What hasn't he done? Record producer, songwriter, voice actor, social media entrepreneur, and of course, the son of R&B legend Isaac Hayes Sr. Despite his many accomplishments and his many talents and everything that he's done, he's still a black man in America, subject to the country's bigotry and racism from time to time. On Christmas Eve, case in point, Hayes was accosted by a white woman who spewed vicious racist language at him while attempting to prevent him from entering his own gated community. Watch this.
Let me get in.
I live here.
What?
I live here, man.
Who are you?
I don't need to tell you who I am.
No, who are you?
Man.
I'm on the board.
I don't care.
I don't care. You drive over here like a bat out of hell. You drive in, you drive out. Get in whatever you. Fuck you. So ridiculous. We have dogs, we have people, and you don't even care.
Okay.
So disrespectful.
Have a good evening.
Why don't you be white, won't you?
Getting home, the street to get into my neighborhood is very, very dark. And so I saw somebody kind of like jumping up and down and waving their hands as I was driving down the street. It's I drive pretty slow. So I was like, why are they doing that? Like, why are they waving their hands so hard? So anyway, I went into my community, but I thought, man, Isaac, somebody could be having a medical emergency. Something could be wrong. If that was you, you would want somebody to go check on you. So I left my community. As soon as I got out the community, I was approached by this woman just yelling profanity at me. And so that's why I said, let me go home, turn right back into my community. And I said, let me put my camera out because I just want to make sure that I'm safe and record any exchange that I have with this person because I don't know if they live there or not. They were not inside my community. So I just proceeded to record the conversation and then go home.
I am pleased to be joined by Isaac Hayes Jr. today. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. That was very bothersome for me when I saw it on social media and just watching it there. That's concerning. You refer to her as a Karen. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think I have to at this point.
What happened?
I was coming home Christmas Eve, about 6:23 in the evening. It was dark outside. I passed a woman on the side of the road who was waving her hands up and down. And it looked very frantic. I don't know. I thought that person might have been in trouble. So I proceeded to go into my gate and I thought to myself, there could be somebody out there that really needs help, Isaac. Go out there and see if everything is okay. And once I exited my community out of the gate, this woman came up yelling profanities at me. And so I immediately was like, okay, let me go back home now that I know that nobody's in any danger. But let me take my phone out and record whatever she's about to say to me because as I'm pulling up to my gate, she's standing in front of the call box. And so that's where you see the recording pick up. And then everything, the exchange that was had between her and I was everything that was captured after the fact. And then I went home.
And so there was more before that. Was it worse even before that?
No, it was just cursing.
Cursing.
It's kind of some of the similar stuff. It was more profanity. You know what I'm saying? It's more cursing at me.
She said you needed to be white to enter the gated community. What went through your head when you heard that?
I didn't really, you know what though? I didn't have very much feeling about that situation only because, and this is going to sound very strange, but like you run into racism every single place that you run into. You're a black man in America. It's not going to leave you, but I felt very safe because I've never had a run in with anybody like that ever. In my community or even around the city of Atlanta, which is somewhat a balance of racial equity and wealth and opportunity. So Atlanta's not immune to that, but to run into it face to face, I thought it was pretty surreal. I didn't have an emotional reaction because I felt totally safe going home. But it's unfortunate. I don't know what "why don't you be white, won't you" means, but I guess apparently she would prefer that I be a white person living where I live as opposed to being black.
And where does she live?
I don't know where she lives. I encountered her outside of my community. She made a statement that she was part of the board of my community. I've since learned that she's not. So I just reported the incident to the community leadership and let them handle it in that way, shape, or form.
Do they know? Does anybody know her? They've identified her?
I think people may know her. I haven't really tried to find out. I'm not necessarily interested. I mean, I think that this situation, the reason why I recorded that video was for my safety. The reason why I posted that video is because I wanted people to know that you are not immune to racism. And in 2025, expect more. Expect this type of energy moving forward. So get your cameras out, be calm in these situations, capture that, because it's more important to let people know exactly how people feel and the honest reaction that they give to you when you're just minding your business.
Why do you say in 2025 there's going to be more?
Well, I mean, we have a new president that's been elected. It's coming back. In the previous 4 years he was in office, you saw a rise in racism and violence. You know what I'm saying? And so I expect nothing different from this next administration, especially how emboldened um, his supporters, his core supporters, really feel about their position and their rights and ownership of the United States of America, which is totally not true, but that's their belief.
Hmm. You said that you had well, let me stick with this real quick. I posted something the other day talking about responding to the racist MAGA supporters who were going off about Indian people being racist online, and I said that they were ignorant, and so they're making it seem like I'm talking about all Trump supporters or all MAGA people,
Mhm.
but there is, and I don't know what the cognitive dissonance is on why they expect to be able to say whatever they want, but when someone says the truth about what they are, many of them, not all of them, they get butthurt. Why is that?
I think there's a sense of entitlement and fear. I've always, I mean, this country, I always say if the Bill of Rights and the Constitution want to live up to what's written on the paper, this country is going to have to be shared by all those who live in this country of different backgrounds, beliefs, origins, whatever. And so, that's the reason why. And I think this shift in the tanning of America, as it's been called before, and this multiracial society that we live in currently, I think people want to halt that process because, white supremacy is in direct contradiction of what the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is supposed to say. So therefore, these changes are going to have to happen, and nobody really ever relinquishes power easily. So
Hmm.
we vote and have these elections. It's important that we push that movement forward. But there's those that want to wind back the clock and rear up white supremacy and put everybody in their place. So I think that's why they get upset.
I was surprised, actually. I'm a little bit surprised when you said you hadn't really dealt with anything like that before. Was it you've dealt with racism? Has it just been more subtle? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the thing about it, Atlanta's an interesting place, right? I grew up in Atlanta. I've been here since I was 3 years old. We've always had black mayors, police chiefs. The police force is 68% African American. So the one thing that I can always say is I've never felt like a minority. There's a difference in Atlanta where you don't feel like a minority, where you don't walk into a restaurant and feel like out of place, right? Or you feel like you don't belong, or on the wealthy side of town. You've always had examples of doctors, lawyers, politicians, clergymen, people that were very, very successful. So my perception of black success has been a multitude of different types of people, businessmen, all types of people in real estate and finance and all these other things. And there are people that actually, don't like that. But one of the things that I know about Atlanta is typically the white community is just not so taken aback by, oh, you can walk into a restaurant and you might be the only white people in this very fine establishment that is, being patronized by black people. And so that's what I mean by that. And I've always kind of worked to myself. I've been in the music industry. I primarily worked with black people in the music industry. I've dealt with other people doing I've dealt with white people and other people in voiceover, and those exchanges have always been positive and very business, and I've never had any bad experiences. But like I said, when I was younger, when I was a child, I could feel Atlanta was a much different place, and there was a lot more racism that was apparent, when I was, 8, 9 years old. But in this city, I think the level of achievement and I think collaboration between the white community and the black community in Atlanta is really, far better than most. But it doesn't mean that once you get outside of the city, you're on your own. When you get to Cobb County, Gwinnett, all these other places, you're on your own. Definitely
Yeah, I was
specific.
going to say I used to live in Virginia Highland. You mean outside the perimeter?
Yeah, outside. I was just outside the perimeter. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole different. It's Georgia. That's not Atlanta anymore.
Yeah. Do you think that though? So you believe that these people have been emboldened by the incoming administration and the previous administration of 4 years ago? Same
I mean,
same person.
absolutely. I think that's the. That's the message that. Make America great again. In my opinion, that was my opinion. Always kind of stood for make America white again. That's what it sounds like because I don't think America's ever been great, but at one point it was a predominantly white society, and I think, like I said, those empowered will know are not going to relinquish power just freely. They're going to fight to keep it. And
They'll call you a race baiter for that, and they'll say, "Look, not all these. We're not all racist, and you're a race baiter."
I don't. I don't disagree with them. I believe that the Republic. I have conservative views. I have liberal views. Right. Um, and I believe that not everybody that supports Donald Trump is a racist. I think people can make peace with the agenda that they want to accomplish in their candidate and turn a blind eye to some of the things that may be racist about that person. I don't think that necessarily makes you a racist. It just makes you someone that's getting your agenda across, and so be it. However the chips fall, whatever. I'm not being a race baiter, but buried within the Republican Party is a core group of people that have been extremely racist and said extremely terrible things and wanted harm to come to black people. So absolutely, it's not all Republicans, but there is a MAGA you know a MAGA
Yep.
fringe movement
Yep.
inside that.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. And so your family's fine. You're not receiving any other racist thing. Everything's good. I just have to say as well, before you answer that, you handle that really well, maybe even better than I would have handled it. And you said to me previously, you learned a lot,
Oh yeah,
grown a lot.
I'm not gonna I have a company. I'm a tech founder. I'm a businessman. The words of a stranger are not going to bother me. I'm very laser focused on what I do and what I build, and I manage my father's estate. There's a lot of business going on with that as well that I have to do. So these types of things are not anything to really, rile me up at all.
Good for you. Let's talk about you being a businessman, okay?
Yeah,
Because both of us we've seen the continued erosion of legacy media. I was in legacy media. It's sad to see the erosion of legacy media, and we're betting on this new media, both you and I. But even bigger. You have launched your software company called Fanbase, correct?
absolutely.
Tell me about that, Isaac. What's up with that?
So Fanbase is a social media platform that I founded that actually is available for everybody on the planet. We're in 190 countries and territories on iOS and Android. The goal of Fanbase is to democratize distribution of content directly to the individual. So someone like you, Don, and I think you're doing this now, but the future is going to be people subscribing to people the same way they subscribe to Netflix or Hulu
Hmm.
us, right? And so I wanted to build an infrastructure that contained the ability to do that, but also for Black culture is the economic engine of social media. Like the culture powers, Black culture powers a lot of industries, but if you really do the history, we don't own these infrastructures. So we don't own the infrastructure of the music industry. We don't own the infrastructure of sports. We don't own the infrastructure of these software companies. So Fanbase was a platform that I built. That's a phenomenal platform that allows people to have followers like they do on, like they would on Instagram or TikTok or X or whatever. But you can also have subscribers if you choose to. And I think that's key because you're going to see moving forward that people subscribing directly to people is going to be bigger than Netflix ever could be. And whoever owns that infrastructure is going
Uh-huh.
to inherit or take hold of $1 trillion industry that I don't think people are really aware that's on the way.
Well, Isaac, look, again, 100% correct in what you're saying, and especially Black folks are the economic engine of media, right?
Yeah.
We don't have the infrastructure even for the people who write about us, right? We don't have the support in this digital space that, just to be honest with you, the white boys have, or the white girls, or the white ladies have. We're just kind of out here fending for ourselves. And I know that there is a big audience and a big opportunity for us, but we have not realized that, and we haven't figured out a way to really to monetize it and to come up with a system that helps creators of color build the sort of institutional wealth, if you want to say, or even fan base, or creator, subscribers, as the other folks do. Am I
You're,
wrong with that?
no, you're absolutely correct. And I think that the reason why I said this is very passionate thing for me, I was able also to raise this capital through my community. So Obama passed this thing in 2012 called the Jobs Act. He signed into law, which is basically it removed the accredited investor rule. So when you look at all these companies like Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, these were all founded and funded by already wealthy people because of this rule. When the Jobs Act came about, it removed the accredited investor rule and allowed anybody to invest in any early stage company, regardless of their net worth or annual income. So I myself said, this is an amazing opportunity. So now the people, right, Black people, or whoever that understands Black culture is very powerful, can invest in Fanbase and own part of a company that continues to scale. When you look at the landscape of a platform like Facebook, that's a $1.5 trillion company. ByteDance is a $300 billion company, which is the parent company of TikTok. Instagram separated from Meta is a $200 billion company. So the ability for people, average, everyday working people, to not have an opportunity to just say, I don't only have to gamble or play the lottery, but I can actually bet or put my money into something like a tech startup for small amounts of money. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. So you actually get stock in the company as we continue to grow. And I did 4 rounds of this in one version of crowdfunding and raised $10 million. I'm the first Black man to raise $10 million in Reg CF crowdfunding, and now I've launched a Regulation A, which is a $17 million round, and we're at $4.4 million of that 17 million. And the goal is to be able to scale that to actually build something for someone like you, Don, which is actually our version of what Twitter is, or X, called Spark on Fanbase, which is microblogging, which I think is extremely important. And people have wanted something that's separate from X, that's separate from True Social, and even different from Blue Sky, but a true platform to microblog. So the investing part of Fanbase is extremely important. And that's why all of this comes together, how we can own this culture together. And the citizens can own this. The people that use these platforms can own the actual infrastructures. Because again, Fanbase is valued at $160 million. But when you get to the 16 billion, $160 billion range, you're looking at multiples that people have an opportunity to get a real return off what they do.
So the difference between this and Facebook and Instagram or Twitter, you believe, is ownership? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, also it's content suppression and shadow banning. So one of the things that I notice and I tell people all the time is all these major platforms
Man,
are
go ahead and talk. I should just give you the entire show because you are going places that I have been. This is a passion of mine. But
okay.
go on, because this is going to be a good conversation. Go on.
Yeah. So content suppression and shadow banning are part of the business model of social media,
Right.
because the moment that video got added to social media, everybody became a television network. You, me,
Mhm.
your neighbor, whoever, right? And so when you have people like The Rock that has 390 million followers, that means he has 4 times the reach of the Super Bowl, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no way in hell that Facebook or Meta is going to let him post a video and reach 400 million people for free when they're going to turn around and charge Target, Walmart, Coca-Cola to reach 1 million people, right? So for that very reason, if you were to go look at The Rock's Instagram page right now, he might reach 8 million people. He might reach 20 million people. He's not going to reach 390 million people every single time. I wanted to take something that says, look, I'm not in it. I'm not an ad-based platform. I'm a rev share platform. So if you wind up with 100 million followers on Fanbase and 10 million subscribers, that's perfect. Reach whoever you want, and you have the opportunity to own and monetize your own legacy, your business. You can scale businesses, and it's really disruptive because it gives the ability for musicians to make more money than the labels they're signed to. It gives the ability for athletes to actually make more money than the teams they play for, or even actors and actresses to make more money than the studios they make films and pictures for, and stuff like that. And so it's really disruptive. Again, direct to consumer monetization is coming. If you don't, it's already happened. If you don't know, you see people like
Yeah.
Kai Scott that has 700,000 Twitch subscribers. You saw Sophie Rain on OnlyFans make $67 million in a year, not getting nude at all. And Stephen A. Smith freak out because all people have to do is hit a button that says subscribe directly to what they want. And this changes the world for everybody.
Amen. And the content suppression is real. Now, what you're saying, you're going to tick off a lot of people. They're going to go, whoa, 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 Isaac, hey, no, whoa, buddy, no. You know what I'm talking about? The studio owners, the platform owners. Because here's the thing that I tell people all the time: the algorithms are biased. And they don't believe that they'll say, well, what do you mean algorithms? The algorithm is going to money and blah, blah, blah. Someone is programming that algorithm. And the person who owns the algorithm is the person who gets to control where the money goes, where the eyes go, where the engagement goes. They get to decide that. And to say that, those algorithms aren't biased, yeah, someone is programming those algorithms into what they think is important and
In
should be amplified or suppressed.
I'll say this. In fact, something that I noticed on TikTok, and this isn't any shade to anybody that creates content on TikTok, but TikTok is an advertising based platform, ad based platform. So the unfortunate circumstance for Black people in America is things built by Black people are perceived to be only for Black people. So when
Right.
I built fan base for the globe, but people call it the Black Instagram or whatever, right? That's not the case. It's for everybody. But on TikTok, which is an Asian company, right? If there's a white creator that garners more views but copies the dance from a Black creator, TikTok wants that because they can sell more advertising because that white creator gets 100 or 200 or 300 million views and they can run more ads in between that content. So it behooves TikTok to highlight white creators to sell more advertising as opposed to the young Black kid that originates the trend, originates the
Right.
dance, saying the phrase. That's the part where the algorithms get biased. Absolutely, like 110%. And so I don't want to contribute to that. I think that everybody has a right to be seen. And again, I don't fault the creators because the idea of TikTok is you do the dance, I do the dance. You do the challenge, I do the challenge. That's fine. But the company itself recognizes, yeah, but if we make creator X over here boost their views up, we can sell more Dunkin' coffee, we can sell more Starbucks ads, we can sell more advertising based on this young Black girl that actually is the one that created this and doesn't get any near the brand deals or revenue or opportunity that this other creator does.
I've said, I'm not an avid sort of housewives watcher, but I think about all of the trends that were set by those women in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Ooh, a white refrigerator, Nene Leaks, right? Or, and people like sharing all of her all the time. I said what I said and I'm not changing it. And I was like, what if she had ownership of that? Nene Leaks would be a multi millionaire if she could somehow figure out how to trademark her own content and what she came up with. And then now other people are repeating, ooh, the ghetto. You know what I'm saying?
So I'll tell you a very interesting story. I was watching Kai Cenat stream when he had this thing called Mafiathon in December and
How long did he stream for? Like days, right?
30
For
days straight.
30
And
days, yeah.
so Sexy Red was on Kai's stream and she said something that made me sit up in my bed and say, I have to trademark this because somebody else is going to trademark this phrase and go sell merch and make
Hmm.
millions of dollars, and Sexy Red will see none of it. And what I always say is, Black culture, we freestyle greatness. We
Right.
say things and they become the word. We say that this is the food to eat like Keith Lee, and it is the food. We say it is the clothes or the brand and the shoe, and it is the thing that everybody runs out and goes and buys. Again, my issue is that we never own the infrastructure. I talk about people like Jerry Lawson, who invented the video game cartridge. So a Black man invented the video game cartridge. There would be no Nintendo, no Sega, no PlayStation, no Xbox without Jerry Lawson. So we have to be mindful of trademarking, filing patents, owning the IP of anything that comes out of us because there's a long history of Black people that have invented things like ice cream and the ice cream scoop, but we're not Edie's and Briars, right? Grandmaster Flash, who pioneered DJ culture. He's not Techniques, he's not Pioneer, he's not Serato. So if we're not taking the mind to say, stop, before you do the cool thing that everybody's gonna love, how can we own this? That was the first thing that I did with Fanbase. I trademarked the name, I filed the patents on the technology that I thought was different and all these other platforms now use, which I started in 2018. And so I continue to be the person that says, look, if we got to own it, I'm tired of just being cool. I'm tired of just saying, boy, y'all come up with it. Yeah, but at the end of the day, there's a small group of people that have generational wealth that
Hmm.
that make billions and billions of dollars. And so the ability for Black culture to have an asset that it owns, scale that to hundreds of millions of dollars and exit that, and then that wealth is distributed to many people that look like us, and then we can go build other businesses. Is really my mission behind Fanbase too. Is to really just build something that anybody, look, you don't have to be black to not know that black culture is the sauce, and you can still invest in fan base even if you know that it is. That's
Yeah.
totally fine because you're still contributing to an infrastructure that's owned by black people, that's monetized by the planet. And someone like you, and I think that's extremely important. You're in an area in a space right now that's extremely advantageous for you because I tell everybody right now, I break things down to the simplest level. It's all about eyeballs. It's all about
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
So the time that people are watching this program right now, you're taking attention from your former network, right? And they might spend 10 times the money to produce that content. Marvel spends $25 million to shoot an hour-long episode of Loki, but yet I will spend an hour watching this show called Pop the Balloon on YouTube, and it probably costs her 2,500 or 25,000 to shoot that. And so that is the area that we live in right now. It's a battle for your attention, and whoever wins that battle and whoever owns the infrastructure to facilitate that battle of attention is going to be $1 trillion company.
Yeah. There's something I'm going to talk to you about offline though, that I want to ask you about. But also, look, just sort of the originator, when you talk about the originator of content, when every New Year's Eve, like I start trending, right? Drunk Don Lemon, whatever. And that was like, you remember the Rat Pack back in the day with Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin, whatever. Someone just had a drink in their hand and they're like, and half the time they weren't really drinking, right? So New Year's Eve, I said, we're not talking policy. We're not talking foreign affairs. We're not talking politics. People are having a good time, and if they're going to turn on the television, they want to see somebody having a good time, so they know that it's okay for them to have a good time. So every year I started doing some of this. What should I do? I'll get my ear pierced. Like I'll ask people, should I get my ear pierced? Should I get a navel ring? Should I get a tattoo? What's the easiest thing to do? Get your ear pierced, and then it closes up as soon as you take the thing out. So all that kind of thing. People are trying to redo that. Right now, everybody's drinking on New Year's Eve. Before, nobody drank on New Year's Eve. It was
Yeah.
me doing it and getting in trouble for it. You know
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Very entertaining. Very entertaining.
And then just doing the,
Yep.
the sort of content that I did in the monologues or whatever, and people are sort of yes, black people put themselves out there, and you said they do what? They create by experiment. What did you say Sexy Red was doing? What did you said?
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying we freestyle greatness. Our IP,
Yes.
we freestyle greatness, and it's and there's a the way that I describe black culture is like water, right? Black culture is like water. It means it's a very valuable asset, but it has to be put in some sort of infrastructure. So when you put
Right.
black culture inside of the shoe, it becomes Air Jordan, right? When you put black culture inside of two turntables and a mixer, it becomes DJ culture. When you put black culture inside of an app, it becomes Instagram and TikTok. It becomes these staples of culture or fashion. Or when Master P was putting PlayStations and TVs in the headrests of Impalas, on cribs in the early 90s, right? And now every Rolls Royce has that, though, but we don't own Rolls Royce. So those are the things that I'm saying, man, like they're watching everything that we do and say, man, yeah, put the TVs in the headrest in there. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad had a refrigerator, a phone, and a TV in his Cadillac that's in the Statue Museum, in the 70s. And now all luxury vehicles have that type of stuff.
With the big sort of Y antenna on the back, is that?
100%.
Oh man, you're a great dude. By the way, I'm glad that we're talking. Can we talk about your family in this lawsuit? Right, filed a lawsuit alleging that was it a cease and desist for the Trump campaign to stop using your dad's song?
Yeah, so basically, my father had the rights to his music stolen from him um, when I was very, very young. He lost the rights to his music the year after I was born in '75. But copyright law has a statute that the works of an author return to the heirs or their family 56 years after the copyright is filed. And so, "Hold On, I'm Coming" is a very, very classic song written by my father and David Porter on this soul group named Sam and Dave. And
Mhm.
so, ironically, that song returned to my family in 2022. In March of 2022, we got the rights to that song back. That means the publishing of that song, we have the legal control along with David Porter to decide who uses that song when you license it for commercials. So I've been licensing that song for Oreo for like multiple years. These are big, huge licenses. These are like, high six figure licenses. And so we noticed that Donald Trump was playing that song, and he played it at the NRA convention at the Uvalde mass shooting in May. So once we got the copyright back in March, he started playing the song in May. And I had sent a couple of tweets out, and we sent a cease and desist, but they stopped using that record. So we took formal steps to say, hey, look, you're no longer allowed to use the song as a political um, uh, at political rallies. And he was notified of that, and he continued to use the song. And so there are multiple counts of copyright infringement, what we call willful copyright infringement. And so we got a temporary injunction to stop him from ever playing that song again, and he did stop playing that song. And now it comes to the point of the case, because the case is not over, is now is if they're going to settle this case, or they want to take this case to trial, which the judge sees as a very open and shut case of copyright infringement. And so this isn't a criminal case. It's really like if someone used Trump's IP, would he sue them for it and tell them to stop? Absolutely. This is no different. For me, it was not a political um, uh, motivated issue. For me, it was literally I own the copyright to a piece of property that this person has used and has ignored my request to stop using.
Do you have any concerns at all about? I mean, what is it like to sue the former president and president-elect? Are you worried that at all that he may turn the DOJ on you, that you're going to be audited into oblivion? There are a bunch of us who have those concerns, by the way, but you're
Yeah.
directly suing him, so I'm sure the concern level for you might be greater.
Um, I mean, I don't really. I mean, I'm a believer in God. I'm a believer in what I'm doing is the right thing to do. And again, I mean, Donald Trump can have enemies. There's a lot more people that he can be mad at, and he might have time for that. But again, I'm not going to move in a state of fear over a simple matter of copyright infringement. If he wants to be petty, then let him be petty, and so on. And be it. I mean, I understand that the weaponization of the office of the presidency is something that people expect him to do. And if that's the case, then I'll handle it however I need to handle it.
Whenever, if it does occur. Um, you have concerns about all the money, and the folks are saying we're in an oligarchy because it's all these billionaires that are really in control of a lot of these media platforms, whether it be social or traditional, and the government right now. Is that a concern for you, Isaac?
I mean, yes and no, but I think that it's also something that's inevitable. Again, as I was building Fanbase, I was recognizing. I think about this all the time. Anything that you build, I always say you have to take something to hell before you take it to heaven, right? You got to. How can somebody use this in the most negative way, right? But then what are the positive things that can come from this? And I think when you have platforms, media platforms that disseminate information and leave distribution up to the user moving forward, then and those people are allowed to monetize that content, it changes the power structure, right? I mean, I think Twitter was an amazing platform, right? But the way that Elon has used the platform is exactly how I don't want fan base to be used. I don't want people just to be a place to kind of steer it. Although I understood the power of being able to reach people where they are, that every people are looking at their phone. They're not doing mailers. They're not waiting for you to knock on their door. They're not necessarily even watching television, right? When you get over the age of 35, 40 years old, that's like 35, 45% of people that watch television. Under that, it's like 17%. So this young generation, younger people between the ages of 18 to I think 35, 17% of them are watching TV. So I think that this dissemination of content is going to change things. I'm not really worried about that. I think that the distribution of wealth is going to change massively, but there's an opportunity for a lot of people that have the ability to create content like you to achieve levels of wealth that were once impossible to do because of the limitations of technology and the cost of production. AI is going to take the cost of production almost down to zero. So the way that we disseminate information and create content, and then the cameras that we use and the platforms that we have, it's a lot easier. It's software. It's not brick and mortar. It doesn't take
Yeah.
satellites as much anymore. So
This is an amazing tool, Isaac. I mean, this is a camera, computer. I mean, it's everything, right? And you can create so much content on this. The content that gets the most engagement is the stuff when I go out with my social media folks with this thing.
absolutely.
Just just talking to people, millions of hits on
People
social
want
media.
polished. They don't want polished. They don't want the overproduced polished content.
Can
And
I can I
go ahead.
get wait, can you just hold that thought? So
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my house now because it's the holidays, right? And so when I first started the Don Lemon show, I spent all this money on a studio. It's beautiful. The lighting is great, the cameras are great, the set, it's really beautiful. And then I said, well, I feel like I'm doing the same thing I did on CNN. And I'm not like, I have no engagement. So I said, I'm going to start this show every day at 5 o'clock called Lemon Live at 5. And I'm just going to talk to my subscribers. This is going to be me sitting in my living room. That got the most engagement of ever. I said, do you guys like me in the studio at home? They're like, we don't want you in the studio. We
Yeah.
want you at home because we want to feel part like we are with you. So they don't care about the shiny anchor desk or the, you know what I'm saying? I wish I would have saved that money, Isaac.
You take it in, take it, sell that equipment and invest it in fan base. I'll tell you that. But but that's important because again, like I said, it's a battle for your attention. It's a battle for your eyeballs. You don't have to have the biggest, most expensive camera in the world because these cameras all shoot in 4K now. And the editing software is not, Avid. You can do this on little small programs that are on your phone that you can
Yeah.
edit and disseminate this content across multiple platforms. And now there's the ability to have subscribers and monetize and do all these things. And so, yeah, it's an entirely different world. I said 2025 is going to be the year where Titans fall and the people start to really take control of media and create content and make so many amazing things that people have access to. And these big organizations are going to try to figure out how they're going to be able to keep up with the young people and the people that are forward thinking. Even someone like you, like I said, to just go and be independent. Independence is going to be very, very powerful.
So I'm going to get to your predictions. That was one of them. But I mean, look, when you talk about, look at Kai Cenat. He's just sitting with a chair in a living room. I'm like, where is this apartment? Where, you know what I mean? There's no set really. It's just him at home. I think at one point when I was watching it, I was like, is that a hole in his chair?
Yeah. It's not a
Yeah,
new no.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, let's do your predictions. You said you believe that 2025 is going to be the year of independence and Titans are going to fall. What other predictions do you have for 2025?
I think that just I think the wealth gap is going to increase tremendously. I think people like Elon are going to be way richer. We're about to get to the trillionaire era, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but there'll also be people that come up from nowhere that are unexpectedly wealthy and rich through either investing, right, or creating content. Because again, we have crypto, we have all these things now that people can take a part of and help scale and build. And I think that's going to shift the balance because they're not these infrastructures that slow your success down, that dredge you down. I think I think the gig economy is going to be creating content. I believe every single person on social media is a content creator, right? If you're in the comments, you're a content creator. If you're DMing content and sending your clips to your friends, you are a content creator. So you don't have to make the video itself, but adding to the conversation, the tweet, the whatever is still creating content. And there's a monetary value to that because they're running ads behind all of that. And so I look forward to the growth and the expansion of what Fanbase has to offer and how we continue to, like I said, we lead the conversation. We're the ones that are having everybody like add a subscribe button onto these platforms. That didn't exist before Fanbase. I want to make that very, very clear that no app, no social media platform allows you to subscribe to another user using Apple Pay or Google Pay before Fanbase. None did. Like none did that. So if you see a subscribe button on X or subscribe button on Instagram or subscribe button on TikTok, they got that from me right here in Atlanta, Georgia. This former record producer that said, "Hey man, we need an app where people can subscribe to people like Netflix." That came from me. And I want people to understand how important that is because it shows you the innovation of Black culture that where all these things exist. No one thought to do that. And as soon as I did, now everybody copies it. And so the thing that separates us from them is capital, which is why, again, I'm raising the money. A matter of fact, I want to say this real quick. Anybody that's watching that wants to invest in Fanbase, go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Again, the minimum is $399. I've raised about 4.4 million of the 17, Don. And you have more viewers than this, but I always say 33,000 individuals investing $400 in Fanbase closes my round. I would love to start, moving forward into 2025 with this round closed. But I tell people, you will see tons of commercials for gambling. You will see a lot of commercials to gamble. You will see a lot of lottery commercials. But why is nobody saying, hey, invest? When it's all risk, it's all an opportunity to make money. But no one's really telling you you can't save your way to wealth. You have to invest. And so I'm pushing the narrative that we start to invest and invest in cultures that we own and infrastructures we own.
Yeah. Let's see. Take the name down. Take Isaac's name down. I want people to see his sweatshirt. The sweatshirt says fan. Oh, there it is. Raise. Yeah, there we go. Fan base. And I need one of those, by the way.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, you need to. I'm gonna tell you something else that I patented. I patented this thing called content migration. So you need to make a fan base page and migrate. You can migrate your Instagram over to fan base, your TikTok. It just copies it and pastes it over. It doesn't leave, but it means you're starting fresh and your content's in a place you can monetize.
Oh,
And we have audio rooms,
I should
right?
have done that with my X because I got off X and I just left all that
Um,
1.5 million.
it still might be a way, but we're building this thing called Spark. But we have audio chat, which is like the app Clubhouse and X Spaces, and we have this thing called Watch Party, where you can actually pin a YouTube video to the top of your audio room, and then have a conversation with people and have commentary over the video. And these rooms are available on the app or on the web globally, so you can listen to it like you would listen to just like internet radio or a podcast. And so we're doing some pretty innovative things over at Fanbase. But I would love to have you on the app, man, and love to have you have a profile in there, and then ways that we could work together and build content, because there's a lot of stuff coming in 2025.
We're going to talk. No, not to worry. Okay, so 2025, you said that you believe that the rich folks are going to get richer. We're to the point where there are trillionaires. Very soon there's going to be a trillionaire.
Yeah,
You said that you believe that the sort of racist Karen stuff at the beginning of this um, show. You said the racist Karen stuff is going to increase in 2025.
yeah.
Any other predictions of the Trump administration or just our country or beyond?
Now that's a toss up. I don't know. I think, I always say that change happens in extremes, like a pendulum, right? And you move from one extreme to the other. And so, and what we thought was extreme with George W. Bush is what got us Obama, right? And what they thought was extreme with Obama is what got us Trump, right? And then what we thought with Trump swung us back to Biden, and now it's swinging back to Trump. And so the pendulum is always going to swing in extremes, right? And so what's after Trump is probably another version or a course correction on the other side that brings things and pushes the country forward. And those are the moments that we have to take advantage of to vote and use our voice and vote and for the agenda that matters to us, not necessarily the specific agenda where everything is kick everybody out and you know kick everybody out of the country and ban Muslims and borders for Mexicans and brutality for Black people. It's like, no, we have to really seize the opportunity to make change in our country. And if we don't do that nationally, at least do it locally. At least voting. Atlanta's been a very good model of how to locally organize and put people in power to implement an agenda on your behalf. There are more Black millionaires that have come out of Atlanta, Georgia, than anywhere I think in the United States of America. And I think PG County probably has the most per capita, but number wise, Atlanta has created so many Black millionaires, and that's because once we got into the political infrastructure, we made laws that created minority participation contracts. So you have people like H.J. Russell Company building 25% of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, a multi-billion-dollar stadium, but that by law, you have to include Black people in that, or construction of the airport, or all these other things. And so that's a real good model to understand how voting and political power really affect how people are able to access wealth.
Man, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate this conversation. Fan base, Isaac Hayes III. I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one. Thank you for joining.
Appreciate it.
We are thrilled to have you as one of our watchers. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. And that way you can be notified about all of our new content. There's plenty of it for you. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop more videos at 2 p.m. Eastern and at 5 p.m. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon Nation, of the Lemon community. Members receive access to special community posts, exclusive content, and live shows. So just head right over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.